It's 7 o'clock, so we're going to start the Monday, March 23rd edition of the Hermiston City Council and Urban Renewal Agency uh, meeting to order with a declaration of quorum. Councilor Meyer and Councilor McCarthy are both excused. We hope both of them get feeling better soon. Could I have everybody stand and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just as a reminder, please, if you have phones, make sure they're set to silent on vibrate. Been to a couple meetings over the last few deals where that was not the case, so it's always a good reminder to turn your phones off. Okay, so let's see. We just finished a public safety center tour, and it was very enlightening. Nice building. Looks like we've got a good thing happening down there. So next up, presentations. We have a presentation from Jesselyn Cole, Executive Director for the Stepping Stones Alliance on PATH. Jesselyn.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good to see everyone. So I did give you a hard copy, the 2025 annual report. Very proud of this document and the work that it highlights throughout. This 2025 was the first year we ran all three programs the whole year. So in particular, our finances are whole and complete in here as far as income and expenses. So that's something to look at. I'm not going to read all of it, but throw out some of the highlights. Of course, spent lots of time doing different things each month. Some of the items that we didn't know were missing from campus, we were able to get different grant dollars to complete some things like putting fans in the bathrooms in the sleep center and water spigots around campus and finishing the parking lot out front with some gravel so we have more parking, putting an awning on the sleep center for guests to stand under in inclement weather, out of the sun or the rain or the snow. I guess not really snow this year. Outreach continues to happen. I am willing and able to go present to anyone and everyone who will have me, and that continues to be a very positive experience. This is actually rounding out my spring tour, so thank you for that. Made it to all the other PATH city councils as well as the county commissioners, and then continue to frequent churches and service organizations with presentations. Sleep center numbers continue to be high. Unfortunately, we are seeing more and more new guests. They do still have ties to the community. Times are not good for housing, for income, just lots of problems. So we are thankful that we are able to give the services that we do give. Navigation Center continues to grow. We continue to offer classes and require members attend those classes. So some are more academic-based, financials, resume building, interview skills, that kind of thing. And then others are more fun, activity-based. So one of our staff members plays guitar, so he's teaching a couple of our members to play guitar. So just really building that community and that level of trust so that members are sharing with us what their needs are and really growing in their own independence, pushing towards those goals. So last year in the annual report, I defined success and kind of explained how difficult it is to share success in this place, the space that we work. And so this year, happy to share some actual success stories with guests and members that we've had and have seen good things. If you don't subscribe to our newsletter, please do that. There's a link on our website that you can subscribe to that. I happen to know that there's a new success story coming out in that. We've also done some updates to our website. So we have a virtual tour that you can take if you haven't made it out to the site. I still recommend you come out to the site and take a tour in person, but we do have a virtual tour on our website, and then we've added some success stories to our website as well. As I said, the revenue and expenses is much more complete this year as we have completed a full year with all three programs. And then, speaking of all of our finances, our gala was very successful in our second year. We do have it slated to happen on Saturday, October 10th, so I'd love to see many of you there again. Appreciate the support in that. We do try really hard to make sure we're getting finances and income from many different sources. So diversifying that, still going out for grants, fundraising, as well as the money that we get through the state. Next page shows those grants and donations. And then next steps, continuing to look forward and what we need to do next and complete on campus, but also just what we need to do for our guests and members. Board of Directors is going strong. We did get 2 new members at the end of 2025, and they have jumped right in and started doing great things. We are still looking for someone to fill the treasurer role. We do work with a CPA firm, so it's not as scary as some people may think, but it would be great to have that role filled. And then our staff is doing really well as well. All 3 of our admin positions, we celebrated our 3rd year anniversary with Stepping Stones. And then we have 2 staff members who have celebrated their 1-year anniversaries. We just have a really diverse group right now that have a lot of lived experience, either with homelessness or addiction, and are able to give our guests and members a different viewpoint, and just that hope is out there and you can move beyond your current circumstances. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council questions? Comments? Well, I don't have any questions. Go ahead.
I was just briefly going to say the reason I don't have any questions is I got the Board of Commissioners, and so it's the same information round 2. So
Go ahead.
I just want to say that you all are doing an awesome job. I have volunteered out there and seen some of the people there, and I'm just glad. Just wanted to commend you on how well of a job you all are doing.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for your service and everyone else's service that go in and volunteer, and the different cooks that go in and provide food, and churches that donate, and so everything looks awesome to me.
Thank you. We do have a lot of community support backing us. Makes a big difference.
Go ahead.
You go first.
I can give you permission first,
All right.
then we'll get to you.
I also want to commend you for what you are doing. It's nice to see that you guys are building trust by having different kinds of activities for them to get acquainted with one another, warm up to you guys so that they can open up and be open to getting the resources that they need. And I so much appreciate hearing the success stories too, because then for you as well, and all the volunteers, every bit counts, and it's nice to see that great outcomes are happening because of the work and the donations that people are providing to this great cause. So thank you to all the volunteers as well that give of their time, those people that provide food for them, and the staff that also, work alongside all of these individuals that for some, they're just looking for that support, that can get them to housing or to have the family atmosphere that maybe they haven't had in a while. So thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being open and honest with the community and sharing with the community. That is something that I don't see a lot of nonprofits doing, sharing as much information out there to the community, being open. Thank you to your staff, to you, all the volunteers for what you guys are doing for the community. I hear nothing but greatness from Umatilla, all the communities around here. So for what you guys do, thank you.
Appreciate that. And I do pass this on to my staff. I'll text them tonight when I'm done.
I have to echo everything that everybody said. Jocelyn, you guys do a fantastic job. It's the the way that the Hermiston area, we have basically a legacy of stepping up when times are tough. And, the fact that, you guys are taking the reins on that and moving this forward, making it a priority so that those that are in need have a place to go. And your service is greatly, greatly respected and appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Mayor.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do we have any changes to the agenda? Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, at this time is opportunity for citizen input. Anyone wishing to bring anything before the council that is not on the agenda is asked to do the following. Step forward, state your name and your place of residence. That's the actual residence, not city. And direct your comments to me. And now is the time. All right, seeing none. Moving forward. Consent agenda items. Consent agenda items A through H. Do we have any council questions on consent agenda items A through H? Seeing none. We have any public comment on consent agenda items A through H? Seeing none. Council comments? Any items that we need to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda items A through H?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Gonna be motioned by Counselor Hayward and second by Counselor Linton. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion passes unanimously 6-0. None, no items removed. Moving on to ordinances and resolution. Ordinance number 2381, amend chapter 116 of the Hermiston Code of Ordinances, increasing the mobile vending licenses and other text amendments. City Attorney Tuvey will now read the ordinance by title only. Mr. Tuvey.
Ordinance number 2381, an ordinance amending chapter 116 of the Hermiston Municipal Code relating to mobile food. Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Smith,
Mr. Spencer, please.
There are
are you
several.
going to pass it too, sir?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to pass it along too?
Well, yeah, Brandon's right here.
Okay.
No, there's several changes in the ordinance that's before the city council tonight. The main ones are result of the meeting that we had on February 23rd, at which time, as a result of public comment, the council directed staff to increase the available number of licenses within town. So we are proposing to increase the annual licenses from 6 to 10. Currently, all 6 licenses are allocated. We do have 3 people on waiting lists now. Whether or not there are properties available, we're not sure. But we do have 3 people on the waiting list, so we're recommending conservatively increasing that to 10. We're also increasing the 30-day licenses from 3 to 5. Currently, only one 30-day license is in use, but we are proposing to increase that. We're also, just as a matter of housekeeping, doing several other amendments, removing event licenses as a category. We haven't had any event licenses come up, and to date, we haven't actually had any inquiries about obtaining an event license either. So we're just recommending that that's probably something that isn't going to be popular with the city. So we're just recommending removing it from the ordinance. We're also adding to the licensing procedure that compliance with the city's FOG, fats, oil, and grease program is required. That came out of our FOG staff, just requesting they have to visit the trucks anyways, making sure that they're aware of the program and compliant with it. Is required in code. This is housekeeping to make sure that it's everywhere it can be in the code. We're proposing a new standard of either one unit per property or 100 feet between them when it's a larger piece of property, basically to avoid any kind of congestion issues that might come up when, if somebody were to try to put 2 or even 3 into a very small parking lot, that could immediately lead to quite a bit of spillover into the surrounding neighborhood. So smaller commercial lots would be limited to 1 per property, excepting of course the food pods, which are governed under a different section of the chapter. We're also proposing to remove the requirement that the 30-day license units vacate the premises at the end of each business day. That one, we just feel it's not equal to what the annual licensees who can stay on the site for a month at a time. There's not a lot of use in having the trucks that have a 30-day license vacate every day. It's just not as fair. Creates another level of headache. Be happy to answer any other questions.
Council questions? Councilor Hayward.
So I see that we're upgrading it from 6 to 10, and we already have 3 on the waiting list. That would put us at 9, leave 1 open. The question I think is, should we up that a little bit more so there's a couple extra spots instead of just 1?
And that really, I think, is a matter for the council to discuss in the meeting. We are operating off of the direction that we've had from council in the past, which was a desire to, I guess, protect the city from a real proliferation and wanting to keep a rather tight lid on the number of licenses that were available so that our visual corridors were a little bit preserved. We can set the licensing wherever council wishes, but that would be more of a council discussion. Our recommendation would be 10.
Thank you.
Other questions? Councilor Kelso?
I just want to clarify that none of these limitations apply to food pods. Is that correct?
That's correct. They operate under a completely different section of the chapter.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Councilor Durham?
So for license type 3, are we staying the same? Is there an increase? Is there any change to that?
No, that the license type 3 is the event license. We're recommending getting rid of that entirely and then moving our type 4, which is a lunch truck that could visit different sites, and moving that up to type 3.
Okay. I wasn't clear on that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Brown?
I just want to follow up on the counselor's comment on recommendation of 10. I want to ask a little bit more specific. I know that the recommendation is 10, but it's clear that there's going to be just 1 available license left. Does the city believe that there's not going to be any more? I mean, I believe you guys are making this recommendation based on the traffic and the community that have spoken to you. So do you feel like we're going to have to come back and have a conversation in less than a year?
I don't know if less than a year. None of the 3 who are on a waiting list have an approved site, so they haven't actually worked with any property owners to obtain a site to locate on yet, and we don't have a feel for whether or not there are actually properties available. Whatever number, in our experience, whatever number you set the limit at, it will eventually be met within a couple of years.
And the council can always come back.
Yes.
Councilor Roberts?
I know the reason we set the limit in the first place was to keep the proliferation issues, I think is the word you used. Some of the regulatory changes we've made in the past, in terms of where they can be, and now we're looking at distances, and 1 per commercial unit. From a staff standpoint, do you see the need then to have a limit? Because obviously I think it would be easier on you guys if we didn't, just because you wouldn't have to worry about tracking permits and coming back and asking for more if there's a waiting list and that kind of stuff. So I guess I just kind of want to get your thoughts on if the changes that we're making in terms of, I guess, time, place, and manner, if you will, are going to help to self-limit the number of food pods altogether so that it's not going to be an issue anymore.
It's an interesting question because I'm not sure that there is an upper limit. It's one of those things that I think as many properties who are willing to make space available in their parking lots probably would eventually have a vendor available. And eliminating the cap would definitely eliminate some of the staff time that we have to spend just telling people there are no licenses available. It would not necessarily help us find available properties for people because there's still a lot of legwork that's available on that. I'm pretty ambivalent as to whether or not the limit is serving a beneficial purpose.
Okay.
Make sure. Council Linton, you have any, before I go on to anybody else?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Has the city staff had any interaction with brick and mortar restaurateurs? Or has any concerns been expressed to the city staff about food carts being an increased competition in the market?
Yes and no. That is a lot of the reason why we originally developed the ordinance back in 2013 was that exact concern. Lately, no, we have not within the last couple of years, and several restaurants have in fact gotten into the catering business as well and do have their own trucks. So it's not currently a pressing concern.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Public comment? Any public comment on this?
Thank you. My name is Krista Van Veen. I live at 764 West Alder Avenue. I have a question. Mr. Spencer, the comment about the restaurants, also a few restaurants having carts, are those taking up licenses or are they operating under the restaurant license?
Yeah, they do not use the mobile vending licenses at all. Those catering trucks operate usually in conjunction with like the 4th of July at the Butte or something, and that's handled under a different set of permits.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Any other public comment? Council comments? Council Roberts?
Yeah, thank you to Mr. Spencer for actually answering a number of my questions before. I'd emailed him and pretty much covered everything. The kind of the thought I have is us as a council is whether or not we need to decide whether or not to raise the number. And I think at the very least, that's a worthy consideration just because I don't know about you guys, but I don't necessarily want to come back year after year if we're going to have a demand that can be met over 3 years, 5 years, and we could put enough licenses out there now to meet that need, then it would just reduce the headache on the people coming in. But again, is the cap still serving its purpose? And I'm kind of on the fence about that. And so I just, if there's any other thoughts, I would love to hear those. But that's just kind of where my brain's turning right now as far as is this part still serving what it is that it was designed to serve, or has the time changed in Hermiston, and do we need to adapt a little bit to it? I don't know.
Council Brown?
I tend to agree with the counselor. I don't want this to be an issue really for businesses that are wanting to come in and to find out that government has to do its job in order for them to have an opportunity to operate. And so I'm right there on the fence along with the counselor. I think 10 is a great, it's a great move. I could see 12, honestly. But at this point, it almost feels a little arbitrary. I too feel that with the right parameters in place, locations, that the concern in the past should be, for the most part, alleviated. And I know that a lot of people are wanting more options, more food options in town. And so I would I definitely support going up. So 10, I think, is something I would support. I would say even 12, just to kind of see how long it would take to get to that limit. And if we find ourselves coming back over and over again, then maybe we should remove the limit. I guess I don't think that we would go wrong either way. It's kind of why I also asked if, I mean, we can always come back to the council and we can, and it seems like the council has from the comments I'm hearing, a pretty good consensus of we want to provide opportunities to the food vendors that are coming in that want an opportunity. So I would be fine with raising it to 10 or 12. And if we find ourselves coming back to this very soon, then maybe discussing about lifting a cap.
Council Jerome?
Sorry, it's pressing the button. Such a hard task here. I would support increasing the number too. I remember that some of the people that came and spoke the other night were potential folks that wanted to get a license. And we also heard from a private person where he also expressed an interest in opening up another food pod. So if that comes to fruition, that would allow him to, or other people that want to have a truck of their own, to fall under that umbrella as well. So that may meet the demands that could possibly be out there in case our number is not enough. I certainly don't want to create more work for our city staff. So would you recommend, or would you be okay, let's say that we say, if we increase the number to 12 with that?
That would be acceptable to us from a staff level. That takes, that's essentially doubling it. When we went from 3 to 6, it took about 2 years to go through those additional 3 licenses. So as Councilor Barone was saying, yeah, you'd probably be looking at 3 to 4 years probably by doubling the existing number. But we are, just from people who are kicking the tires, we are getting between anywhere from 8 to 20, depending on the week, inquiries on any given week. So there's a lot of demand there.
I think we need to be mindful of what our community members are asking from us. So I would be okay with even raising the number from 6 to 12.
Councilor Hayward?
I'm kind of in favor of increasing the number, but I think we should increase it up to 15 just because of that food pod and stuff, and then get a little bit more opportunity, because if they come for 30 days, that's a little bit more work for city officials writing those 30 days license, then they leave. Where if they could get a permanent one, that means they stay here. That's more jobs and more revenue coming into the town. That's maybe entice them to get a longer one and stay.
Just to clarify, that food pod that was suggested at the last meeting wouldn't be covered. They could have 20 and we still have a cap at 12. I mean, that
don't
wouldn't
count towards
affect
that number.
because they would be licensed in another fashion. So
Yeah, the
this
food
would
pod.
only be individual food trucks, so it doesn't affect our food pod that the city owns. It wouldn't affect any others.
Councilor Roberts?
I think, all you guys for your input, because that helps clarify in my mind. I think increasing to 12, I think, is wise. It's a prudent middle step until we see if this food pod comes to fruition, because if it does, and it's a draw place for a lot of people, we may not need to raise the cap anymore. It may stabilize on its own. And so I think that's probably a wise move in my mind. I would support that as well.
Councilor Linton?
Excuse me. With the increase of the license, the recommendation is 10, and I think that's a good number. A lot of inquiries were happening with the first food pod, and the problem was they couldn't pass the different rules with the state, the health department, and things like that. And that's why a lot of people could not open up the food trucks over at our food pod. And I don't think we should raise it too high, because, that is part of our job as a council. We look at a lot of things all the time. And if in a few years from now, 4 years from now, if we need it more, I think we can look at it then and increase it if it's necessary. Because also we will need to look at, is it like an overflooding of the same type of trucks all, in the area? and whether or not they can be successful here in a small town of 20,000, maybe 50,000 or so, 30, 40 licenses. Thank you.
Councilor Kelso?
Thank you. I think it's important to raise the number of licenses. I think 12 is a good number, 15 is better. I don't want to be a barrier to anybody's entrepreneurial efforts. And I think testimony that we heard last time about this topic, it's clear that the city has been a barrier in terms of the lack of licenses that we have available. So I'd love to eliminate that. I don't see the harm in raising it to 15. I do think a limit serves a purpose. If we had a food pod in every parking lot up and down 395, I think that might be a bit of an eyesore plus a bit of a congestion problem. So I do think it does serve a purpose to have a limit, but I think I like the number 15 better than 12, just to give us a little more time before we have to reconsider this issue.
Any others? Okay, my turn. So, just in my humble opinion, I agree with the 12 number myself. We're doubling it, but we're not going, we're not gonna overflood the area. The fact that, we don't really control what type of card it's gonna be, so that doesn't really play to me into it. But I agree with the council in that, we definitely need to increase the numbers. A lot of the issues, as Mr. Spencer said, a lot of the issues that were, that brought about this ordinance in the first place have been dealt with by the ordinance in dealing with with the sanitation part of things, the inspection part of things, And so since we've figured out how to fix the biggest part of the problem, now we're at we want to give back and give them the opportunity to flourish, to, get the opportunity to build that business, to build a brand if possible, get the opportunity to go from a truck to possibly a brick and mortar, and I think that is exactly, look at, how Nellie's went from a truck to the building, which was great. And so, just as a for what it's worth department. So, and by sticking with the number 12, we're still keeping it, we can always go up. It's harder to go down if you had to, but it's easier to go up. And so, it's just basically it's a simple vote for us, a change of an ordinance. So, but that's my 3.5 cents worth. So. All right. Okay, so we are at a point to where a motion is, we can make a motion as it sets, or we can amend the original ordinance. Counselor Brown?
I motion to amend the ordinance 2381, going from the annual from 6 instead of 10, but to 12.
Second.
Okay. We've got a motion to amend to 12 and at a single meeting become effective 30 days after adoption by the city council.
Maybe you want to vote on just that amendment first?
Okay, if we
Yeah.
need that, okay, so on the amendment, okay, let's do that. So that motion was for the amendment and the second was for the amendment. Okay, roll call.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. Now, can motion to adopt ordinance number 2381 at a single meeting and become effective 30 days after adoption by the city council
Hold on, I think.
Do you want to say as amended?
as amended.
As amended. And for the record, I would say that what we're amending is section 11605A2 to read the maximum number of type 2 licenses shall be 12. And that will be the new language in the ordinance as amended.
It just needed to be verbally stated.
Okay.
Fully what was
What was being-
proposed.
Just start throwing rocks. I'll
So
catch up.
now,
Okay, so it has been stated as stated and amended.
Mhm.
A point of order, Mayor.
Sure.
I have a question. regarding the comment 30 days after adoption. In the past, we've done an emergency passage where it goes into effect immediately. And the only reason I ask that is because we have 3 businesses that are pending, would have to wait another 30 days before we actually can adopt this, where it goes into effect.
Well, I think, I mean, that's something you could choose to do, but
What's the
I don't think they're actually to the point where they could get a license tomorrow if you did an emergency clause. Because like Mr. Spencer stated, they don't even have a location yet. So it would take them some time, you know, so.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep. All right, so,
Mr.
Alright.
Mayor,
yes, sir.
I would make a motion to approve as amended and stated by Mr. Tevy.
Second.
Back,
Okay, and the motion to adopt ordinance 2381 at a single meeting has been made by Counselor Roberts and seconded by Counselor Jerome. Roll call.
yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Way to go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, I'm trying to write all this down. All right. Resolution 2413, approving a purchase and sale agreement to sell 10 acres of land known as Cook 3A1 within the South Hermiston Industrial Park. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Mr. Morgan, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this evening we're going to be discussing resolution to approve sale of 10 acres of land in South Hermiston Industrial Park. Sale price comes out to $65,000 per acre, and that would result in a profit of approximately $200,000. Just to give folks a sense of the area that we're talking about, this is showing Hermiston in general. You can see the red outlined area is what we would refer to as the South Hermiston Industrial Park overall. You can see the Walmart Distribution Center in the bottom right, Feedville Road forming the bottom portion. Inside of the South Hermiston Industrial Park is what we have long referred to as our Cook Industrial Site, and this is outlining the Cook site in red, and that is an aerial of only 5 years ago, nothing built on the Cook site. So now this is zooming in a little bit more. So now the Cook site's outlined in white, and so now maybe the numbering and naming terminology makes sense. So the white outlined portion is the Cook site overall. You can see Meyer Distributing has been constructed, as well as 2 Amazon campuses under construction. And so continuing to market the area for development, we've labeled the northern area as Cook number 2 and the southern area shown there as Cook number 3. And so specifically what we're talking about this evening is breaking down even further the Cook number 3 site, and we're looking to sell Cook 3A, which is the 10 acres on the northernmost portion of Cook number 3. So a little bit of background on Cook 3A. In January of 2024, City Council approved to have the City of Hermiston purchase all 44 acres there from Amazon Data Services. That purchase closed in June of 2024 at a final price of just a little over $41,000 per acre. At the time, the direction was for staff to market the property for specifically job creation and economic development purposes for a period of 5 years, and to market that for those types of purposes as low as at cost, plus whatever the interest would have been if the funds used to purchase it had otherwise been invested in the LGIP. At the end of 5 years, if the city were to still own any or all of that 44 acres, the intention being to simply liquidate the asset for as high of a price as possible, with the goal of simply recouping the investment plus whatever the interest would have been. So the proposal being brought to you this evening is to sell that northern 10 acres, Cook 3A, at a price of $65,000 an acre. The proposal by the buyer is they intend to construct about a 30,000 square foot light industrial building. They have some expansion areas and some potential plans drawn up for eventually expanding the building footprint itself up to around 95,000 square feet. And as part of this proposal, again, this would only be for Cook 3A, so the city of Hermiston would still retain ownership of the southern 34 acres. Just breaking the numbers down a little bit, so the 10 acres would gross $650,000 after costs and fees associated with the transaction, estimated about $35,000. The net revenue coming back to the city would be about $615,000. So if the net revenue coming in $615,000, keeping in mind that that $41,000 across all 44 acres comes out to the cost of that 10 acres to the city was a little over $411,000. So that gives us about a 20-month profit of about $203,000, or about 58%, or annualized at about 35%. Now I put profit in quotes there because I wouldn't say we've necessarily made a profit yet on the overall investment. Because the overall investment was $1.8 million for the entire 44 acres. So recouping $600,000, $615,000 at that increase per acre is certainly helpful, but it doesn't recoup the entire investment. So moving forward now, marketing that final 34 acres over the next about 3.5 years. That leaves us with the ability to market that property as low as a price nearing $38,000. So actually less than what we paid for it, and we could still break even plus interest. So that's kind of the strategy for the remaining about 3.5 years, and what I'd request council to sort of agree with as we move forward. I'd like to continue marketing the rest of the property. We did have an understanding that we're trying to market it for economic development, but if we were to get a speculator come by and offer us $75,000 an acre for the entire site, we'd be remiss not to consider that. Based on the market prices, I'd actually look to increase that to $85,000 an acre, because of the way that the market for industrial land is going right now. So that leaves us the ability for what I'd consider to be job creation proposals. If somebody's coming and actually looking to develop the land, not just hold it and look to turn a profit themselves, that would leave us the ability to sell that property for anywhere from $38,000 to $85,000 per acre. And also, previously, we had a minimum lot size of 10 acres. We've gotten quite a bit of interest in purchases for less than 10 acres, and they are fairly aggressive and fairly high prices. So I would actually look to increase again, at least through June 2029, the minimum lot size to 15 acres, simply because there is real value economically for the community to retain that land in as large a parcels as we can, because we have plenty of really small acreage properties, but we need to retain those larger acreage properties for the larger job creators as we can. So that would be the plan there. And then if, again, after June 2029, if we still own any or all of the property, we'd recommend just simply liquidating it for the highest price, which, again, based off of the interest we've seen so far, I don't think we'll have any concern with recouping the original investment plus interest. So with that, I'd stand for any questions.
Council questions? Councilor Kelso.
Yes, thank you. Have you got any idea of how many jobs might be created as a result of the sale of 3A?
I don't.
Okay. And you said it's light industrial. Do you have any idea what the nature of the company's business is?
I'd say they've been working through a broker, but I think we have a good understanding of who the company is. I'd say they're a manufacturer, fabricator, assembler of components that go into the cloud computing industry. So they're ultimately a vendor supplier of the data center industry, but they're not a data center themselves. They just simply assemble and fabricate components that go into data centers.
Well, they couldn't have found a better location. Is Do you have any insight as to the timeline for the completion of a building on that land?
They've been working pretty extensively with us, and I think their construction folks would rather that their real estate folks had acquired this yesterday. So I think they're pretty aggressive in wanting to start construction as soon as possible.
That's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Other council questions? Public comment? Seeing none. Council comments? Council Bro?
Oh God, this is really exciting. We've learned from what our forefathers have done at this city. You showed the picture to start this presentation with Walmart DC. And the reason that we had this project is when Walmart DC was purchased, there was a lot of excess land that they never utilize, but it's still their property. So when we did this deal with the data centers, we realized there was 44 acres that they're just not going to use. So what did the city do? They purchased that property, hoping to investment and for a future purpose. And it is crazy. Like I almost got goosebumps right now. The fact that this paid off. We're selling 10 acres of the 44 acres. We're making back more than what the value of that property was. And now we're going to have a business here that's going to have family jobs. And it would have just been a waste of 44 acres, but the city turned around and was able to do a great deal out of it. And so you guys, sometimes we say good job to you, but I really, really, really mean it. This is an excellent plan, a super great idea that's just paid off. So I hope that you guys can continue to find more investment in this, but we made something out of nothing. And I think that's really impressive.
Other council?
Yeah, what he said. I mean, you guys have done a job.
Ditto.
And this is very exciting for the growth of our city. And I'm glad that you guys have the vision that I hope the council shares, that economic growth is what's going to drive our community forward. And this is an excellent way to do that. Well done to all of you. So thank you very much.
Councilor Duran?
Agreed. And thank you to the staff that also collaborates really well with possible business people that are willing to come to the area and working with them so that we don't have as many hurdles that they have to jump through in order for them to establish here. So thank you for that.
I gotta say ditto what they said, but thank you city staff and stuff for getting jobs here and stuff. Thank you.
Any other council comments? Xerox? Okay. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2413? That is the correct number, right?
Oh, second.
And lay upon the record. Counselor Linton on a motion and Counselor Hayward on second?
Yeah.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Okay, moving on. Resolution 2414. Review and approve master fee schedule update. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, since a majority of these fee changes are in the Parks and Rec Department, Mr. Arts will give us a presentation.
All right. Mayor, City Council, for you, I have just a quick presentation about our master fees schedule changes. There's quite a few changes just on the line items as you go through that document. I'm just going to kind of highlight some of those, and I'll try to get through each section, and then please ask questions as we go along if you have them, so we can kind of keep up with the different sections. So I'm going to first start with the Aquatic Center. Our splash pass fee adjustment. Our last update on this was in 2023. And you can see our 2025 rates. So 23 through 25 on our family pass was one adult, one child for 180, 200, or excuse me, one adult, one child came out to $180 if you were to buy those individually. One adult, two kids was $200. And when you got to two adults, two kids, that converted you into our family splash pass. So that would be at $200. Um, the reason we are putting this forward is we had a lot of challenges with the family splash pass. Um, our family pass was for in-household families only, so those who resided in your household. But over the years, over the number of years, we've seen accounts with friends, cousins, neighbors, dogs. No, I'm just kidding. Just, you know, people are kind of showing up with people who aren't related to them, and they're on their list. And it's when it's 105 degrees out, people want to get into the pool. You know, it's difficult to really. We want to push people through the line, get them in, get them where they're going, and so having some challenges with that. Again, it's difficult to enforce. Staff has been unable to effectively verify the eligibility without producing documents, which is kind of a burden on the families and producing those at the aquatic center. And what are you going to do with those? Are they going to get wet and that and so forth? So it also created an inconsistency with an inequitable pricing. As you can see at the top there, one adult, one child was $180 and a family was $200. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the numbers, but our program essentially runs June 12th through the Labor Day weekend. Last year, that was 77 days of operation. And this is a lot of information. There's our 2025 Aquatic Center recap that I give to our Parks and Recreation Committee. The significant numbers are there at the top. Splash passes sold. There was 362 splash passes. That included family passes. I converted those. If we were to go to this model of individual passes, that would be 758 individuals. And of those member check-ins of those passes, we had 6,208 of the 29,000 that actually paid admission last year. And so we're going to kind of move on here. So our proposed fee adjustment is to go to an individual pass system. So if you were to come in and want one pass, it would be $85, whether you're a youth, a child, or an adult. If you came in with 2 to 3 people to buy those pass, it would be reduced to 65. If you found 14 plus other people to bring in at one time to purchase these passes, we would give you a volume discount of $50 per pass. And so in our system, we're able to differentiate different passes. And so you'd have your own account, and that's the way the passes would be set up. So the more you bring in, this would grow great with our youth groups, Campus Life, coming in with volume pass purchases, and so you'd get a discount. And so looking at some of those changes, so one adult, one child, it was 180 last year. The proposed changes would be 130. One adult, two children would be 195, two adults, two kids, 220. And again, 77 days open. That's about, if you were to buy it just at $85, it'd be $1.10 per day to come in for all those, for 77 days. Now to recoup that, as a child, it'd take you 17 visits. As a youth, 15, adult, 13 visits. But if you got the volume discount, those would go down, those number of visits. So this solution, there's no need for that family confinement, reduces kind of that misuse of the family passes. We're not asking, are you in the same family, or are you not? It kind of streamlines that front desk operations. Encourages different groups to register together. Bring your friends. Let's get a discount, and it's customizable to what the family needs. If dad's never going to come, you don't need to pay that full family pass, and you can reduce that. Things that we've heard in the past. On that, are there any questions before I go on to some of the other fees yeah,
I did have a question on, I guess, is there any benefit or anything to do the one adult, one child, or one adult, two child, or two adult, two children? It looks like based on how you're streamlining the passes, I don't see a reason to have that, I guess. Or I guess what would the reason to have that be?
that is just giving you an example of if you brought in one adult and two children to buy your pass, this is what the cost would be. So it's all individual based. So one pass equals 85, 2 to 3 passes is 65, and then it goes down. So I'm just giving you kind of a snapshot, an example of what it was last year at one adult and two children
Oh, okay.
at 200.
So
This year it'd be
the
195.
pricing, you're just gonna have the stuff that's in blue. You're not gonna have, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So does that require that everybody have their own pass?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how it is, that's how it is now, is everybody gets their pass card, and so they come in and scan it, and just an easier system for everybody scanning in. Yes,
There is no residency requirement, so if the 7 of us wanted to go together and buy a splash pass, we could and get the discounted rate for $50 a piece. Is that right?
correct.
You guys up for that? Okay, good.
Council Roberts. Well, I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy, so I'm thinking, okay, and I hate to say this, I'm going to put it out there. It's a suggestion to the public almost, but let's say somebody goes on Facebook and says, all right, let's all get together, and 250 people show up, 300, 700. Are they all going to get the $50 rate? And at that price, are we going to be able to afford to operate if somebody's, curious enough to do something like that?
That is a great question, and we look to serve the masses, but we'd be able to honor that. Maybe we need to put a cap on it of 50 people. But again, we want to kind of honor that of we're going to this different system. Let's see how that works this year, and if we get big volumes, then we'll look to do something different. But again, trying to encourage people to come in, and because there are a lot of individual pass sales of just one person coming in, they want a splash pass for this season. In order to recoup some of those costs, we can't go down a lot, but we want to be able to still operate. It's a great question.
Neighborhood passes, basically, right? Oh, that's a great, no, I like it.
Great. And just Pendleton had last year gone to this system, and inquired with Mr. Liam, director in Pendleton, and he said that there were some growing pains, but overall it was a better system that their staff is now running with. So it'll be their second year on that. Some other fee additions. So with that individual pass, just adding a fitness pass add-on to it, to that splash pass is going to be $30, very similar to what we've done in the past. We updated our name from Picnic Shelter to Picnic Pavilion. We're kind of doing this all across our shelters. We're going to call them pavilions now. Just seems a better language for that. And then we have a new option. We have an all-day lazy river area rental. So that's down there in the red and the yellow. We added this last year, and it was a great option for large groups to come in and have a dedicated space. We have some new shade covers in that area. So another option for people to come in and have space for their groups. Any other aquatic center questions before I move on? Great. Moving down to the community center. Don't have a whole lot of actual numbers here. That's all in that fee resolution changes, but some highlights there. We added a booking fee, and so anytime somebody comes in to rent the facility, We charge a booking fee that's non-refundable. This is just kind of an administrative fee. There's people that book and then they cancel. And so some of that time and effort that staff puts in there, that's what that fee is for. We added a weekday small meetings and event section and those associated fees. Just being able to differentiate our great room from weekend to weekday and the large and small events that happen in that space. We added staffing fees for after hours as our staffing fees are going up with minimum wage. Since 2023, it's gone up 6%. And so we're seeing that over all the different areas that we're managing. We also adjusted our large event insurance requirement. This is a lot to do with our private parties that come in with alcohol, from $1 million to $2 million. We looked at Event Helper, where a lot of our renters get their insurance from, and it's only an increase of, $25, $30 on the insurance policy. So $1 million to 2 million, it's a good jump, and it would be able to cover, if anything were to happen there. And so we're just putting that into effect. And then adjusted small medium rental rates and damage deposit fees throughout there. Any questions on the community center fee updates? Great.
Seeing none?
Festival Street, just a small change. Our large red tent rental went from $250 to $400. It takes the park staff 4 guys to set up and 4 guys to tear down. So just to better align with the actual cost of that setup and tear down. The Harkin Riders Senior Center, with our senior agreement, we're taking over all those rentals. And so we wanted to kind of update that. And we looked at what the seniors were renting, and we're very much in line with what they were doing and with adding our fees into it. So we updated the naming to the upper level is the terrace level, and the basement level is now the garden level, just to give some connotation to it and to differentiate from the community center, because we called the great room in both areas, and that was confusing. So we needed to go something different with the garden and basement and then the terrace levels. We didn't have actual garden level rental fees in our last fee resolution, so we added the garden level rentals in there. We added the booking fee, and then we updated our weekday and weekend event rental rates, as weekend rentals are prime and cost us a little bit more with staffing, and then adjusted those fees based on actual staffing and building costs. Yes.
You talked about naming, so it made me think when we went down to the basement of the Harkin Rider when it was still barely being constructed. I think there was like a naming process. So you guys were looking for suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
Did it end up getting named or no?
We never did end up naming it, and that is open, for our Parks and Rec committee or the city council to suggest naming. We just wanted to come in and give a baseline. Let's change the name in case we get some other suggestions along the way. So those are open to be named if there's suggestions.
Bremer's available.
I like Larry.
Go ahead, Councilor Kelson.
Thank you. Is there still the flexibility to rent just maybe perhaps the small room on what we're now calling the terrace level?
Yes, the boardroom. Yes.
Okay.
It's boardroom didn't change from boardroom to boardroom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With that large area up top, is the kitchen able to be rented out with it?
At this time, our agreement is kind of based on requests from us. We'll receive a request from the renter, and we'll pass that along to the seniors and see what their recommendation is.
Okay,
Seniors have a right to refuse.
Yeah.
okay. No, I know somebody in the public's probably gonna ask.
Yep. Thank you. No questions? Great. And then lastly, we have a new fee, a special event permit fee. So the framework around this is we've seen a lot of increased usage of our park facilities for organized events, fun runs, things like that, to where there are large organized groups using the parks and trails and open spaces. We have pavilion rental fees, but we don't necessarily have fees for using the Oxbow Trail or some of the other spaces that are out there. And so this would kind of standardize the permitting to be able to use those fees. So number one, it allows us to see what kind of event is coming in. It kind of gives us some oversight and accountability of how the park's going to be used. It aligns our event planning and what actual available park resources are out there. If there's concerns about needing electricity or restroom usage because they're planning an event for 500 people in a park that doesn't have available restrooms, we want to know that so we can help accommodate and let them know that you probably are going to need to bring in some other resources. And then ensure safe and coordinated use of our city facilities. Some of those key outcomes that we want to see from this is it aligns with our city ordinance requiring permits or in writing organized and commercial use of the public park space. So there's a turkey trot fun run that the hack puts on every year. They charge a fee to do that, and they're using city facility, and we haven't ever charged them a fee to use that. And so that just kind of standardizes that, gives them permission to be able to use that without violating that ordinance. It establishes a consistent, fair process for the park use review and approval. We're seeing increased usage of these public spaces, whether we know about them or not. There's, people conducting dog training at Riverfront Park that I heard about today. They're being paid for it as a business. There's photographers going out and all sorts of usage of our park system. But as these things grow, we want to be able to see what's happening and be able to prepare for these big events that come in. It helps offset maintenance and operational impacts. The fee is very minimal. How much does it offset? Not very much, but allows us some oversight of what's going on. And then it's just standard practice that other cities and other districts are using in growing park systems, and people being entrepreneurs and wanting to use public spaces for their different things. So, yes.
So if I'm a senior in high school and I'm having my senior pictures taken at Riverfront, are you going to charge me $100 for that?
No.
Okay.
This is for organized events above 25 people. Photographers go out and use our beautiful park system, and that's totally okay. It's these organized events that are coming together of large uses.
Okay. And this isn't a question, but I am glad to see that there's a provision for 501c3 organizations
Yes.
for a 50% discount.
Yes.
That's nice. Thank you.
Other questions?
Great. Thank you. And that's all I had. So any more questions?
Final questions? Okay.
On page 24, under garbage and recycling services, 1B1, there's I want to know why there's a decrease in the per cart pickup.
There it goes. Yeah, that was just a clarification in the language because it's $12 per pickup per can for recycling for commercial accounts instead of a bi-monthly and a monthly fee as it was written, so that there's no confusion.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Roberts?
was trying to think about this special event fee and kind of framing this. How many events are you guys having to deal with where it takes extra staff time outside of their normal working hours?
I'd say there's just a handful, 5 at the most throughout the year. But I can see that this may increase as we go along, of those things outside of actual staff hours.
Okay.
Mr. Kelsel?
Is the event tent rental limited to Festival Street? Is that the only venue in which that can be deployed?
No.
Okay.
Others? Councilor Bro?
If the school district wanted to use a facility, they would be using it for free, right, then? We have a city facilities agreement with both of them.
Through our reciprocal agreement, yes.
Okay. Is there, can I ask a follow-up?
Continue.
Is there, if, I guess if, I'm trying to think of an event, but if there was an event that caused like a lot of garbage, would there be like, would that be a discussion between you and the organizers of the event? Or is there a fee associated with that? Because honestly, I'll just be honest, I'm not really a big fan of the permit fee, the special event permit fee, but I can see why. And it's not really a lot, honestly, but like I think of like the fun runs and stuff, like the turkey trot that I went to, and for the most part, it's clean. But you know, there might be people that drop trash, and I think most of the times that I've been to that event, it's been pretty clean. But I can see why. There's a lot of people, and naturally, when there's more people, there's going to be probably more garbage. And so, sorry, I want to stay focused on my question. I guess, what would that look like if there was if someone created a lot of trash or garbage? How would that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that'd be something we'd talk with the organizers, and especially, you know, with the hack doing that every year, it's something that we can now plan for the next year. Okay, what are you doing different this next year that you didn't do the previous year that there was a lot of trash? And you know, a lot of this permit fee is a lot of it is my time. I've been working with a local government agency recently on an event that they want at Riverfront Park, asking a lot of questions, follow up. They'd filled out a form. They still have not gone to Riverfront Park to look at it. And it's like, okay, I need to help you through this process. And so some of that is the time and effort into helping them throughout finding these resources and recouping a little bit of that cost.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilor Hayward?
On like some of the events that we know that happens every year, I think we should offer incentives, say if they left it clean and less work for the city resources to do stuff, give them a discount next year or something, because it encourages them to take care of the parks and clean and actually take responsibility.
It's a great thought.
Okay. Okay. Any other council questions? All right, public comment. Any public comment on this? Seeing none. Council comments?
Here.
Councilor Roberts?
I get why we're looking to, I'm going to stick to the special event fee for just a moment. And honestly, I'd like to separate that out from the rest of the master fee schedule personally, because I can understand why the rest of the fees are going up. I don't like it, but we've got inflationary costs, we've got wages going up, that kind of stuff. It costs more for some of these services. But one of the things that we consistently get, I think, here as city councilors and as staff is you're raising our rates again. You're pushing our rates up. And a lot of this stuff is stuff that's outside of our control. But this one, this special event fee, I feel like is kind of in our control a little bit. with these larger events, not only um, is the city having to do the work anyway. Okay, we pay a base wage to the workers, and we accept that as a cost to the city. We budget for that. Um, but it also, we're bringing in economic benefit. These events are bringing in people into our cities, and they're spending money around. They're supporting our local businesses. Um, and so I guess I'm kind of worried on one hand that, you know, if grandma and grandpa want to have their 50th wedding anniversary in a park and they bring, you know, 75 of their closest relatives, we're going to charge them a $100 fee. And maybe most of them are residents, so they're our tax-paying citizens. They're already paying for the services to the park. That just doesn't sit right with me. And so I guess my thought for discussion anyway is I can see the non-residents. If you have a group come in and they're a non-resident, but they're bringing something in, and so they haven't contributed as a tax-paying constituent, and it's going to cause more actual staff time. We actually have to have staff on site to oversight. I can see charging a fee for that, but um, it just doesn't sit real well with me to charge our local constituents a fee for something that they already pay for. And so I guess one of my recommendations would be to have a lower cap on it at the very least, because the low cap right here is 0 to 500. I think um, and 0 to whatever number we want to set maybe shouldn't have any fee associated with it. But outside of that, I do understand why we want the permit, and I agree with the permit as a whole. It's just the fee that I have heartache over, because we do need to plan. You guys do need to be able to know when a big event's coming in and make sure that you can allocate staffing, you know, after the fact to know, you know, if McKenzie Park had a great big thing, okay, your staff's going to probably have to take care of McKenzie Park tomorrow rather than some of these others. And there is an opportunity cost as far as, you know, where you put those resources, because it takes away from other things that they can do. I get that, but I'm really having a heartache with this fee in particular being something that we as the council actually have control over. And one of the biggest things we hear is stop increasing our fees. Um, I don't know. My thought is this is one where we can give our local people kind of a pass. That our parks are there for their recreation. Um, I mean, that's the whole reason they exist, is to recreate. And if they want to, you know, get together and have an event that not only is fun for them, but also has a benefit economically to the city, I don't know. I think at some level we can eat a little bit of the cost, because the benefit to the community outweighs our need to recoup the minimal costs that come with that. That's just my thoughts.
Councilor Hayward?
I don't have a second on what Josh just said. Hearing people out there constantly saying we're raising fees, we're raising fees. We're also raising fees on us as councilors. We're citizens. We're raising our fees too on that. But I also see it's a citizen. Citizens are paying taxpayers for it. Should be able to use it for free. But also there's a cost of maintaining that property and stuff. If you leave it trash, somebody has to clean it up and stuff. That's why I kind of asked if we have events that constantly keep repeating and they're doing excellent leaving the park clean, we should offer them a discount later too. But I'm right there with Josh on that. Our citizens should be able to use these parks for a bare minimum fee if they're having big events, but they should be entitled to use them.
Councilor Brown?
Mayor, I have a question, but if we want to go through comments for everybody first, but I did have a question.
Okay, let's get finished.
I would just like to say, I mean, in thinking about somebody, I mean, first, I don't think we define what we get for property taxes and what that's supposed to cover. I mean, it's just, it could be a wide range of things, and we may have to walk those back and, you know, all those kinds of things. The other thing, you know, 100 people or even 50 people in a park all at once are very different impact on that park than 50 people who just went throughout 5 days, you know. So that's the reason for this, is to really try to figure out how we can handle that larger impact with everybody coming at once. And so that's That's just something in some of the concerns that you brought up. I thought should come forward.
Thank you.
Did you have some? Maria? Okay. Counselor Kelso, you have a comment?
Yes.
Okay.
I understand your sentiments, Counselor Roberts, and I do understand that the taxpayers do pay for the parks, but if you're having a large scale event, 25 or more people, I don't think $100 doesn't seem unreasonable to me as a permit fee. And I look at the larger end of this, if I'm let's say tomorrow, Jeff Kelso, concert promoter, goes into business and I want to put on Woodstock 28 at Butte Park, which seems like a good idea. I think $200 for that rental of that place seems very reasonable to me. So I do think it's a minimal charge, and I think it makes sense, and it probably, to be honest with you, in most cases wouldn't even cover the time involved in having a staff member from Parks and Rec come over and just pick up the litter that happens at any gathering of people more than a group of 25 or 50. So I do agree with your sentiment. I do understand that the taxpayers already pay for this, but I think this isn't you walking your dog through the park. This is you having an organized event with a bunch of people that is going to cause litter, it is going to cause wear and tear on the equipment, and I just don't see anything wrong with the minimal fees that are being proposed here.
Counselor Brown?
Okay, I had a question on the tournaments part. I guess just I'm thinking of organizations, so like I think of like HYSO, like soccer playing at the Butte, or even lacrosse playing at EOTech. Would those be, I guess, subject to a fee?
This fee, no,
Okay,
because we have field use fees that
okay,
are different than this.
and okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Any other council comments?
I'm not against any fee at any point. I want to make that clear. I think if we had, 1,000+ participants and they were putting on a concert, as you say, which again is a great thing, I agree. Then yeah, there's going to be some thought behind that, and honestly, at that point, we would be probably involving additional city staff and something like that. And so, I'm talking about the things that don't really require additional time by city staff than what they're already being compensated for. Now, granted, I know that's more work. I get it. I'm not, saying that that's not unfair to a certain point, but whether they empty 5 garbage cans or they empty 15 garbage cans, we've still compensated them for that day. There's no additional cost to the city for them to do that work, aside from the fact that we're pulling them from other stuff that they could do for that day. And so that's where my rub is, if it's an event that brings people together, it brings them in, and it doesn't cost us anything really out of pocket because they haven't really damaged anything. We were going to empty the garbage cans anyway, and it's even a bonus if they do pack everything out and leave the park clean. That's where I kind of just feel like we don't need to charge people for that. And that's, I guess, maybe part of it too, is that 0 to 500 just seems broad as far as for what it looks like for the number of participants. Again, I don't know what the magic number is, but I just think this what are we looking to solve with this fee? And that's really, I guess, what I'm looking at. And if it's because we want to recoup costs above and beyond what we're already budgeted for, then I get that. But to a certain level, we've already budgeted for some of the work and the upkeep on the park. And so if it doesn't impact that, then I don't see need to charge extra. And that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Counselor Jerome?
Event planning takes a lot of work, bringing people together, emailing people back and forth regarding clear instructions, information that you're sharing back and forth. I help put on a resource fair that brought 33 vendors at Hermiston High School. The work began way back in December. The event took place March 11th. And through that time frame, there was a lot of stuff, a lot of emails going back and forth. So I can understand that there's a lot of time involved between the time that they contact staff to gather information to the time that it takes place. So I believe that he's trying to also include that time that staff is already spending. And also, yes, employees might be there for the weekend already working, but they're also generating more garbage, more garbage that the city probably has to pay more. I am conflicted, though, that I certainly don't want those celebrations to stop happening, like the anniversaries or gathering of, I don't know, high school, when people come together, to celebrate their graduations or things like that. I am conflicted about that, but I don't know what the right answer is right now. I wondered if it could be broken down a little bit lower from 0 to 100 perhaps, having a lower fee like $50. I don't know if that would be sufficient, because I also do want to honor your time, staff time. But, so I'm not proposing to change it. My question to you would be, how does this compare to other cities? Do other cities around us have implemented this?
Great question. And let me clarify here. These fees are for a special event. So a vendor event, a commercial event coming into our park system. If you want to rent the picnic pavilion for the 75th anniversary of such and such, there's a fee associated with that, and you are allowed to have that picnic pavilion. But this is for the special event that's coming in, like Kelso's Woodstock. The fun run.
Kelso stock, yeah.
The organized events that are coming in and using the parks above and beyond what a typical informal use of the pavilions or anything else is. So I just wanted to clarify that. And if that's not clarified, then we can certainly go back and look at the language to make sure that's in there. Now back to your question, Mr. Ron. Yes, I looked up some of the other spaces. Westland, $150 for permit fee. Sublimity, $50. Lincoln City, $50. Ashland's $130. Sandy is $100. And so they're kind of wide ranging on what these special event, again, special event application permit fees are going towards. Now, again, the anniversary in the park, the graduating seniors, that's a picnic pavilion rental, and that's totally okay. That's what those are there for as well.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Just a question on that topic too. Say somebody wants to just throw a birthday party at Fun Park with 30 kids and just use a picnic table. Would they have to get this? I think that's kind of where we're getting at.
No, and that's not a commercial. They're not selling anything to other people. They're not bringing in people. Hey, you have to pay to come into this birthday party. It's those special events that are requiring more from it, not your typical pickup birthday party.
And I guess that hits right to the point of where I think the language is a little bit ambiguous in my mind anyway. A special event is required for organized events. What does organized mean? Held in city parks, regardless of whether admission, registration, or participation fees are charged. That to me is where I was thinking about the wedding anniversaries, the birthday parties. And then the examples include, but are not limited to, And so I could see those falling in there. So personally, when I read it, I was thinking about those anniversaries and birthdays and low-level family get-togethers, or even just community, even a small block party, 3 or 4 houses get together and want to go have a barbecue, and we're only using a couple of picnic tables and really not having a huge impact on the park. But those are the ones that I was kind of mulling in my mind that I didn't want to see a fee charged for. I totally get if you have a commercial event, it's fair game, got to pay to play sometimes, and that's part of business. And so I get those. It was these other ones that I personally, unless the council feels otherwise, I feel could have a little bit of more direct language to help identify. But
Councilor Rowe.
And I guess I would just like to apologize to you for not being a great contributor to the conversation here. I missed the last Parks and Rec committee, and I think this would have been the meeting where you would have shared this information, and probably with all the questions that we asked there, I would have been able to answer some of the things, or would have been able to comment better on what is being discussed tonight. So I do apologize for that. I did have a work commitment, but I just wanted to say that for the record.
Ms. Gilson.
When I read the sentence in the proposed language here that says permits are required even if the event is free, if it involves a large organized gathering or use of park space that requires coordination, oversight, or cleanup beyond normal park use. That sounds to me as though it leaves some discretion to the Parks and Rec director to determine whether the proposed event, is going to require that. So if I'm organizing mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary and I want to have it in the park, and I say, Brandon, I want to have this event, I don't foresee it having a huge impact on you or your staff time, you could possibly say, yes, I think I agree with that, and there will be no fee assessed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council comments? What they said. Okay. So I heard you had a thought, but do you want to just go with? I don't have any comment on that one. It's me personally, I believe that, I understand your point, and I see your point. My thought on this one is that, if nothing, I mean, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need to do this, but unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world. We could, institute a deposit, cleaning deposit, cleaning fee, like we do with some of the other things. But, bottom line is that the money's gonna, whether it's gonna be there or not. So, it's been, Mr. Arts went so far as to explain that, there's already, for all intents and purposes, there is a build out for a small, for personal events as opposed to commercial or or larger organized events. And so I think like we do with the police department, we give the Parks and Rec department that the discretion to make the decision as to, what is and what isn't necessary to go into the fee structure. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2414 as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made to adopt Resolution 2414 as presented, and by Councilor Kelso, and seconded by Councilor, I believe it was Duran, got it
Yeah,
first.
you got it.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. All right. Resolution 2415, approving an equipment procurement for UV disinfection equipment at the recycled water treatment plant. Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Mr. Morgan.
Mr. Morgan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this evening we're asking you to approve this resolution to pre-procure some sanitation equipment at the sewer treatment plant. Total project cost for just the procurement portion is $681,000. This is a little bit different than some of our contracts because this does not actually install the equipment. This is just us purchasing the equipment before bringing on a general contractor to install it. That's largely because of the long lead times involved with this type of equipment. And so we need to order that now in order to meet some DEQ deadline requirements coming up in 2028. A little bit of background. So our sewer treatment plant, also known as our recycled water treatment plant, because we do not waste any water, we just recycle it. It discharges Class A treated effluent. During the growing season, we discharge it to the West Extension Irrigation District. But during the non-growing seasons, we discharge the water to the Umatilla River. And the final disinfection process that we currently use before discharging it to either one of those options is to treat the water with chlorine before discharging it. With our new NPDES permit, which NPDES permits are periodically updated and new requirements are added as laws change. With our new NPDES permit, we're required to eliminate chlorine byproducts from our discharge by 2028. Chlorine byproducts are essentially just the components left over of chlorine after it's gone through the process. So we're being required to eliminate those from what we discharge to the Umatilla River by 2028. Additionally, though, this isn't being driven entirely just by the NPDES permit. We've seen at the recycled water treatment plant our chemical costs, mainly driven by chlorine, go up significantly over the past 5, 6, 7 years. Additionally, we've experienced at least a couple of shocks in the supply chain here just in the last couple of years that have given us pretty significant concern about our chlorine supply, just from a supply standpoint. And then finally, chlorine gas is dangerous and hazardous substance, and it's dangerous to our employees. And there's been at least one instance of a near miss with some potential dangers from just handling chlorine gas out of the recycled water treatment plant. So there's a number of reasons for moving to this change to disinfect using ultraviolet light. So the UV light disinfection project was adopted into our capital improvement plan several years ago. As I mentioned, there's long lead time associated with acquiring that equipment, so we're moving forward with ordering the equipment now, and then we'll issue a bid for a contractor to come in later and install the materials once they're acquired, with that construction and installation occurring sometime in 2027. Because of the really specific and kind of niche equipment style of this equipment, we issued a request for proposals rather than just a typical bid situation. And so from those proposals, we received 2 proposals, one from Glasgow for $681,000 and one from Inaqua for $1.2 million. Anderson Perry's reviewed both of those proposals, and they feel very comfortable with the proposal from Glasgow, and so we'd recommend awarding the contract to Glasgow. Stand for any questions.
Council questions, Councilor Kelso.
Yeah, that's quite a price difference in those 2 proposals. Do you know what the rationale behind that is?
So there's a number of different components. I mean, they're really, I don't want to say they're apples and oranges, but it's not like there's a standardized process for these UV systems. So they're 2 totally different styles of achieving the same thing. And so in doing their analysis, Anderson Perry felt confident that the Glasgow system meets all of the criteria that we listed out in our proposal process. And frankly, they feel like we're getting it's a better system. So.
Councilor Broom.
Sorry, I'm also having issues with the button. I was about to ask a question. But I think you basically said it. And looking at the Anderson Perry comparison, they rate Glasgow a lot higher, yet it's half the price. So it sounds like we are getting a better deal.
Yeah, and I think one of the components is, it's intangible, but I think Glasgow is predominantly based on the East Coast, and Inaqua is based on the West Coast. And so I think for communities of our size in our region, there's something to be said for being first. I think Glasgow as a company, it seems like is just getting really hard to get kind of a foothold, with us on the West Coast. And so I think we're reaping the benefits of that.
Any other questions? I have one, in regards to, replacement parts is their stock basically easily obtainable as opposed to any other system?
Yeah, and that was actually one of the things that Glasgow actually scored better than Inaqua on was the ability to obtain replacement parts.
Perfect. All right, public comment. Seeing none. Council comments? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2415 and lay upon the record?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
And motion by Counselor Hayward, second by Counselor Roberts. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes unanimously. 6-0. Next, resolution 2416, authorize sewer loan application. Mr. Smith.
Mr. Morgan, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this evening we're asking you to approve Resolution 2416 pertaining to authorizing staff to secure a loan in the sewer department. This resolution would authorize submitting and approving and processing the components for applying for a $1.5 million loan. Specifically, that $1.5 million would be a portion of a much larger sewer project. So this would allow us to leverage approximately $4.2 million in private investment. And then additionally, as part of that loan application, we anticipate that approximately $1 million of that loan would actually become what the state likes to call a forgivable loan, which is also known as a grant. So this would allow us to experience pretty significant expansion in our sewer service area for approximately $500,000. So, City of Hermiston recently annexed about 800 acres of industrial land south of Feedville Road area. You can see that loosely outlined in yellow on the map. We are also now working with private development on a new development in that area, generally highlighted by that yellow star there. And so they need sewer connection, mainly just for employee flushing and some minor maintenance components with their industrial process. And so they have two options. And so that white line there roughly indicates one option that would take their sewer to the east. And then they have another option, which is a little bit longer but more simple, to take it west and to the north. And so the one to the east I would label as option A, the one going to the west I'd label as option B. The option A route costs about $4.2 million. Option B costs about $5.7 million for a margin of about $1.5 million between the two. There's a number of benefits going the option A route that are completely lost if we go the option A route. One is not the least of which being we've actually been through this process in the past, and City Council has actually already authorized staff to pursue a nearly identical loan for a nearly identical sewer route for the Prairie Meadows housing development, which was about a 1,300 home subdivision, generally shown there. Ultimately, that subdivision development kind of collapsed under its own weight. One of those pressure points being just the cost of expanding sewer down into that area. So this would allow us to run sewer right past an area that we've been trying to justify the cost of running sewer to for many years. So that's one benefit. Additionally, the area outlined in the dashed yellow line is our urban growth boundary, areas that are outside of our city limits, but inside of our urban growth boundary. And so that's generally planned for residential development. And so similarly to the Prairie Meadows development, extending sewer in Highway 207 through that area would also help to facilitate future residential development by extending utilities, which are costly to extend out into that area of future residential growth. And then additionally, in that area, it's a pretty significant source of nitrate contamination in the groundwater as a result of septic system drain fields. And so bringing sewer services through that area helps to facilitate easier connection of at least 50 existing homes inside of the urban growth boundary in that area, which are currently on septic systems and would have an easier ability to hook onto the city's municipal sewer system. So the proposal would be for the private company to cover an amount equal to what the option A option would be, with the city picking up the difference of approximately $1.5 million in order to leverage significantly more beneficial sewer out for the public. So the total that the city would be on the hook for is $1.5 million. The loan that we have presented to you this evening through DEQ includes up to $1 million of loan forgiveness if we adhere to the terms of the loan. So the out-of-pocket portion to the city of Hermiston's utility reserve would be about $500,000. But for a kind of a sense of scale, the Prairie Meadows development at 1,300 homes, we charge system development charges to all new developments and construction within the city. At our current rate for just the sewer portion of our system development charges at $356 a piece, spread across 1,300 homes, that would nearly recoup the entire portion of the city's cost just from that one development. So ultimately, I feel pretty good about the ability for this project to largely cover a lot of its expense while leveraging a pretty significant beneficial expansion to the system. So with that, we'd ask you to approve Resolution 2416 so we can move forward with this loan application and get some pipe in the ground. I'd stand for any questions.
Councilor Hayward?
Questions, would this increase homeowners' sewer costs and stuff eventually in the future or stuff because of this?
No.
Councilor Kelso?
You mentioned that this is a $1.5 million loan from the DEQ, and you keep referencing this loan forgiveness, which is great, but it's up to $1 million. How and when does that get determined, what the loan forgiveness amount is?
Yeah, so we have to go out, we have to build it, borrow the money, and then once the construction project is complete, that's when DEQ verifies to make sure that we actually did the project the way that we said we were going to do. So we have to front the construction.
And then at that point, is it pretty much guaranteed that we get $1 million back, or what?
There's never any guarantees, but in talking with the DEQ staff on our original application that we did 2 years ago for Prairie Meadows, and again on this one, they feel confident that it'll be at the $1 million threshold.
And is there any interest associated with the loan that the city would be paying?
There is interest associated with it. I think it ends up being close to what the market rate is at the time that they issue their bonds.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Layton?
Is there someone interested in developing this area at this time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Roberts?
Kind of a two-part, I guess. How much is in the utility reserve fund, and will this affect short-term or long-term any additional or future projects?
Yeah, so there's multiple different components to the utility reserve fund, but the portion that this would be coming out of would have ample reserves still remaining in the fund going into this next fiscal year. So we don't have any concerns about it jeopardizing any future projects.
Are we under any specific time crunch to be able to apply for the loan forgiveness grant?
They do have a window for applying that is the middle of April, but that's a window that opens and closes several times throughout the year. So they just like to bunch their applications up. But this is, again, since we'd applied for it and been authorized for it by DEQ a couple of years ago, it's something that is fairly easy for us to come back and continue to apply for.
And are these funds that could easily be cut at the federal level at some point, like some other programs have been?
I'm not sure where the source of DEQ's funds are.
Any other questions? Councilor Kelso?
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned that perhaps that putting the sewer line in might get 50 homes off of septic systems and onto our city sewer. Is there already city water serving those homes?
No.
And would there be any requirements to have the property annexed into the city to receive city services?
They would have to annex, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Sure.
When would you hear from folks about having to be annexed into the city water? What would be some of the pushback?
They would seek to annex into the city when sewage begins to come up in their yard. That's typically when they come to us when their septic system fails. So we're not out there soliciting the failing septics to do that work for us.
Any others? So, the way this is written for the longer version, we get basically all that access sewer for 10% of what it would cost us to put it in to have access for everything on top of that instead.
Yes,
So 10%.
10 cents on the dollar, yeah.
Thank you. Public comment.
Thank you. When I was living in Portland, and we had to hook up to the city sewer, we did have to pay for that cost. Would those homes that are on sewer have to pay to hook up as well?
Generally speaking, anybody that hooks onto our system pays for the cost.
Okay, so they would be required to do that.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was brought up. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Council comments? Council Roberts?
10 cents on the dollar to run a line to an area that we have been trying to develop for at least 2 decades or more. I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion.
Okay. Other council comment? Councilor Kelso?
I agree. This seems like one of those opportunities when you have to strike while the iron's hot. We have the opportunity. We can make this happen for very little money, comparatively speaking. So I'm all in favor of this.
Others? And one of the things over the years that we've patted ourselves on the back for, and our administration patting them, giving them credit for, is purchasing things ahead of time before we need it. And I think this is going to be one of those situations where getting the infrastructure in place now before it's required is going to be a huge benefit to the development of that particular section of town. So I don't want to call it a no-brainer, but I think it's a pretty darn good idea. So, all right, let's see who's going to do it first. Can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2416 and lay upon the record?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I would have bet. Been motion by Councilor Hayward, second by Councilor Roberts. Roll call.
Yes.
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 And I would vote yes if I could, but I can't. Okay, next up, 2417. Boy, we're getting close on time, aren't we? Okay, well, number 6, chlorination structure contract award. Mr. Smith.
Morgan.
Morgan.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I know I just got done telling you how terrible chlorine is, but here we are. We're going to be investing in a chlorine project. So trust me, there's some logic to it. So I'll go quick. Resolution 20. 2417 is a resolution to authorize spending $630,000 awarding a contract for constructing a chlorine building at well number 6. Oh, is that a lot touchy tonight? No. So that's a picture of the existing chlorine building at well number 6, and the best way to describe it is the floor is rotting from the chlorine. The structure is currently and has long been underutilized or undersized for what it's used for, and one of the things it's used for is to store chlorine. And so the same supply chain issues that I mentioned previously with regard to the recycled water system obviously get experienced also by the water system as well as at the aquatic center and others. One of the things that makes this a little bit different than the wastewater side of things is when we experience those supply chain disruptions, because of the critical nature of chlorine supply, it's somewhat regulated, and so the suppliers actually prioritize drinking water systems over wastewater systems. So there is a scenario where if chlorine is in a shortage, they can more easily cut off the wastewater side from receiving any chlorine while they prioritize water systems. But we do still like to, because sometimes there's slowdowns and challenges getting delivery of chlorine, we've found it challenging to have enough space to store those chlorine canisters, particularly up at well number 6. So that's part of what this this project is to do. So this has been, a long been a problem, nearly 10 years now since our first capital improvement plan was adopted. So this project has been included in the adopted capital improvement plan since the first one in 2017. It's been a long project to design, but we finally put it out to bid. We received several good bids. The low bid coming in from C&E Construction at $630,000. So with that, I'd stand for any questions.
Council questions? Other than about how bad chlorine is? Council Kelso?
It seems to me that typically when you're storing deadly chemicals like this, there are a lot of codes and building things involved. That fiberglass shack can't meet any of those codes, I wouldn't think, at this point. Is that true?
I would agree, and that's also why I would not recommend looking at the price of this building that we're proposing to construct and run a price per square foot and compare it to your house, because it's there's a lot of codes involved. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other council questions? Seeing none, public comment? Seeing none, council comments? Seeing none. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2417 and lay up on the record?
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Counselor Hayward on the motion. Counselor Duran on the second. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion passes 6-0 unanimously. Next up, future of the Carnegie Building discussion.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's been a long night. Thanks for doing all that. All those projects seem to just come together all at once, so we need to keep them moving. But this is also something we've been working on for a little while, and so want to walk through a few items. We'll talk a little bit about the building itself and kind of where we're at with it. Talk about some surveying we did through the fall of last year, and then talk about a few interested groups that we've been approached by, and then kind of talk about where do we go next steps from here. So the Carnegie Building, built in 1918, 11 years after the city was incorporated. One of 1,700 libraries in the U.S. funded by Andrew Carnegie, improving literacy and trying to build communities. This building served as our library until the mid to late 80s, when the library moved into the building they're currently in. Since that time, it's been used for city offices or as a temporary library, and there may have been some other uses that I'm not aware of in that time period. And another item of interest, it is not on the National Register of Historic Places, but it is on a local register of historic buildings that the city has put together. It's one of 5 buildings. So there are some additional requirements to develop it or to make any alterations to it if those are to affect the exterior of the building. So what are we going to do? What are we going to use this for now? It's been a great asset for a number of years. How's the community going to continue to benefit from that investment? So in the 2025 legislative session, we received $1 million allocation to help us with this effort. The Civic Leadership Academy class of 2025 did a study of options and what we should do and how to reach out to the community. We tried to follow a lot of those ideas. You can see a few of those items there that came up through just discussions. And then one of the items we did is an online survey. It was actually a mix. It was an online and paper survey. About 181 participants. It went through from August through November of last year. And sometimes when I spoke to various groups about this, I took paper copies of the survey, handed them to folks so they could fill them out, and then we inputted them into the system. But I spoke to the Hispanic Advisory Committee, the Harkin Rider. I went over there and spoke at a lunch, spoke at all the service clubs, and so tried to get out and talk to as many different folks as we could. And here's the results. Now, these percentages seem odd because you could pick 3. So the percentages don't all work out like you want them to with your brain, at least if your brain was like mine. But the high points: history, arts and culture, and youth-related services are something that the people would like to see in the Carnegie Building. What are the values that should be kind of guiding this next decision making? So preserving history, supporting local arts and culture, stronger community, family-friendly programming. Those are, again, the highlights, the strong points of the values that should guide this. So how important is it that the Carnegie Building is continue to be used by for the public? So I think it's very strong there. You've got almost 90% that's very important that says it should be a public building still. So they don't want us to sell it and let somebody use it in that way. This one's hard to read, but this is, again, showing culture, historical preservation, arts and education, and community engagement were the top 3 areas in this out of the survey. Again, summarizing those results: keep it for public use, historical and youth, with, if you take that last, and that last slide came from the written comments. It was kind of trying to categorize all those. If you take that, it probably leans historical if you're going to try to do something with the building and try to interpret the feedback that we received. So as we were reaching out and talking to people, and even before the actual outreach, we've been approached and had conversations with a number of different groups that are interested. The first one that came forward was the Hermiston Historical and Cultural Society, and their idea was to create some kind of a Hermiston-specific museum using the building. The council had a conversation in February of 2023 with that group. And the next one that we received was the idea of making a community arts center. And that was put forward by a local artist that has participated with the Pendleton Arts Center and other art-related venues. Then the next one is a community discovery center, which is focused on youth education, supporting all families, but probably targeting homeschooling families in particular, but offering services to all that would be interested. It's a nonprofit called Thought Bubbles. Then the last one that we've had conversation is related to education and emergency response from the Hermiston Amateur Radio Club. And so all four of these are really, they're each very different, and they have a different mission and kind of ideas and goals. So what I'd like to start with is just hearing the feedback from the council, any discussion, and then I do have some ideas or suggestions about where we might go with next steps, or if you'd like to hear those first, I'd be happy to offer those. Excuse me.
Counselor Hayward.
I would like to hear those ideals first, so we can have an idea what you're thinking,
Okay,
if the rest of the counselors is like with that.
I got it. All right, what I would suggest is that to get a better idea, you've each seen some written materials, I think, from each of these groups, and it's been a while since the museum group spoke to the council. So maybe scheduling each group for some set time in a work session to give a more detailed presentation about their ideas and thoughts for utilizing the building. And as kind of a parallel process, to authorize staff to start maybe getting some consultants on board to start getting an idea of what we're going to need to do, no matter what the use is. What are we going to need to do to the building to get it kind of up to speed? There's some of it, the city we put on a new roof in the last 6 or 7 years. And, we've done some work on maybe some of the HVAC, but what's the extent? And so I think we need to do a thorough evaluation of that, no matter what we chose to go forward. And that would be a way that we can utilize some of that grant from the state to start getting an understanding, and maybe even start some preliminary designs as you're looking at what that future use might be. And then also take a little time and evaluate whether do we want to put this building on the National Register. There are some things, there's benefits, there's pros and cons to that, and so having somebody kind of give us an evaluation that we can look at and see if that's a wise thing to do with the building. So those are my thoughts. Be open to any input, feedback on what that might look like.
Counselor Roberts.
I definitely think some work session time would be great. Were you thinking a work session, full work session for each, or breaking it down into a couple?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe 30 minutes for each group, so you could do 2 groups in a session, and then, another week do another 2 groups. And
Okay.
frankly, doing this might cause some other folks to come out and be interested. I don't know.
And then, do you need a motion to authorize you to begin the process of evaluating the systems?
Yeah, I think I'd like some consensus direction through a motion or something that then we can go, and we'd still be potentially coming back with a contract depending on what that would cost and those kind of things. But we haven't done any of that work up to this point.
Okay.
Other questions? Councilor Brown?
No, not question.
Okay.
What would it take? Do you have an idea how long that could take to be on the national, or?
It's a lengthy process. It's been a long time since I've been involved, so I'm not sure how long it takes. But in another city, we did some of that kind of work, and it took a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Kessler.
So as part of the evaluation, would that include an evaluation of how ADA compliant the building is?
Yeah, I think taking a look at all of that.
Okay.
We had done some a few years ago when we remodeled we like to call it the executive level. So we're following the
new marketing plan
example of the Parks Department.
Yes.
The executive level of the building, and so we had done some of that, but we need to do that again and kind of find the best way to provide ADA access, particularly to the lower floor.
And do we know if there are any asbestos issues in the building?
That would be another thing too. And so This would be kind of deeper than a normal, like a home inspection you might do. Would be really looking at detail. What are we going to need to do if we try to do a major renovation to this property?
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Brown?
Okay, I do have a question. Do we have any buildings, facilities in the city that are already registered on the National Registry?
I don't believe so. We have none that are listed.
So this would be a first if that does
If we
come to
were to
pass.
choose to go that way, yes.
Councilor Roberts?
In short, what are some of the benefits of being on the National Register?
You do qualify potentially for federal funding in different ways. It's not like it's a lot of money. But there are some grant programs that are available. And it also, the state does have some programs that would allocate money, give priority to a building or a facility that's listed versus one that just might be eligible.
Kelso?
Isn't one of the main drawbacks, though, that you lose the ability to do anything to the facade?
Whatever you do has to keep it like the historical photos or the evidence that we have of what it was like when it was constructed.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Public comment? All right, council comments? Councilor Drum?
I do like the idea of hearing more from each of the people that have come to provide ideas. I think it gives them the opportunity to expand more and refresh our memory. I know it's been a while since we kind of heard from the groups. I think it would be so beneficial. We learn a lot from that, and we also respect the fact that they are passionate about something and then that they want to share their ideas. So I very much in favor of that. And thank you for thinking ahead and providing us with the next steps.
Councilor Hayward?
After my trip to DC, just coming back from DC, I looked at the local library that was right across our hotel. It was a national library that Apple Store took over and remodeled. So it's a nationwide. I think taking a look at getting it on the National Registry and all these ideals would be a great idea.
That library was a Carnegie Library as well.
Yeah.
In fact, I sent Lily a picture of it. I don't know whether, so. Other comments? Councilor Kelso?
I guess I'm glad Apple hasn't put in a proposal then on this. I also think it's a good idea to hear from the various groups that have applied. I think it would be interesting. And I like the idea that it doesn't seem like all of the proposals are mutually exclusive. There are 3 levels to the building, and it's possible we could adopt more than one of the proposals and have that work.
Oh, two.
There's only two
Two
levels.
levels.
Oh, I'm
Don't
sorry.
you?
There are 2 levels to the building, and it still is possible.
Yeah, unless you've got an executive basement down here.
He's got on the roof.
Is there an attic I could move into? For cheap rent. Yeah, so, but they aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. There could be, any one of these operations could still leave room for a public meeting space that's usable during off hours or whatever. So I do like that idea and that concept of killing more than one cat with multiple stones. I don't know, that all went wrong for me, but I think you get what I meant there.
You're getting tired.
Any other? Councilor Brown? We're getting late.
I think it would be a great idea for the whole council to hear. I mean, I remember all 4 of the presentations, and quite honestly, I do favor the historic building a little bit more, much like Councilor Hayward was saying. Just being even at the nation's capital and seeing a lot of art, seeing a lot of historic monuments, it does give something. It's something that I feel like we're lacking. And I do like the idea of preserving our history. Honestly, I was going to bring this up in council comments, but I'd love to even see the pictures of the mayors that we've had in the past. We don't have that right now, and I know that we had that in our last city hall building. But just a little bit more history, it'll cause people to like stop and look and appreciate. And so I feel like it would be great for us to tell our story.
Any others? My turn? Okay, cool. I I hate to, say same thing as them, so, but, my thought is on this is, as we've talked about, it is a historical building, plain and simple. And keeping it in that context as opposed to making it something other than a historical building, I think would be a shame, to say the least, a museum or a cultural center or a combination thereof, yeah, absolutely. But to make it anything other than, you know, the historical significance that it becomes, as I said, as was brought up, that was one of the things that I saw, I mean, literally, we walk out of the hotel room in Washington DC, and there is a Carnegie Library right in front of us. And so, it was, to me, that just kind of sealed it in my mind that, this is, we've got something in our front yard that Washington DC has in their front yard. And to, to make it our own and to keep it our own and to keep it as a historic, and I think that making, looking at the registry of historical places, or, making it a national thing that we have, since we have nothing of that nature. We have no museums to speak of. We have no historical significance buildings that are listed as such. And I think that's a shame. And so I would love to see us move forward with something like that. So I believe we would need a motion to authorize staff to begin the process of evaluating systems and begin preliminary designs.
So move.
Second.
Then moved by Counselor Drone, second by Counselor Roberts. Roll call.
Yes.
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 There you go, sir.
Awesome. And we will be working with the groups to schedule them to come and make more detailed presentations.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
we are now at the monthly financial report, and council present shirts. What did that say on the back of them?
I will collect for those at the end of the meeting tonight.
This was the wisdom of our finance director, so we wanted to share it with the community.
We must provide context. At the recent council city council
Goal setting.
setting session, Mr. Palacios dropped that nugget of wisdom upon us, and we all embraced it hard. And so now we know that the wind is dumb. Mr. Palacios, care to comment?
I still think that's true. I
The
still believe-
funny thing is that not a single person disagreed with you on that.
I guess, thank you, everyone. That made my day. It's 1750 for the t-shirts, by the way.
Funny guy.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, for you tonight are the February financial reports through the end of February 28th. We are 67% of the way through the fiscal year, 8 months, 4 months to go in the fiscal year. I'll start with the Hermiston Urban Renewal Agency. Right now, we are 100% of property tax receipts, which is the primary revenue source for the Hermiston or Urban Renewal Agencies, and that is because we model our estimated tax receipts from the prior year, because we have little to no idea of what that's going to be and what that valuation change is going to be in the upcoming year. So we play it very conservative. For the North Hermiston Urban Renewal Agency, we have for the upcoming project, we're working on right-of-way appraisals, and we anticipate that those will be moving forward as right-of-way acquisition gets completed. I forgot to update the comment on the slide. Again, we're 7 months of the way through the fiscal year for 25-26. Monthly revenues ended over projection by about $2.8 million, and that's primarily due to the timing of property tax receipts and franchise fees. And we are at 100% of budgeted property taxes for the current fiscal year. Monthly expenses were over projection by about $664,000 approximately. Several departments are over projected budget when compared to that projected number that we used. Look at the 3-year look back, and that was city council, finance, and non-departmental. And these were further evaluated, and when compared to the current year budget, they are all under, except for city council and non-departmental. Those were, finance was under the budgeted amount. City council and non-departmental are over budget due to the annual LLC membership that is budgeted out of that department, and then the transfer for the newly implemented building inspection fund for this year. Public Safety Center, which is where we normally budget for the public safety building overhead, janitorial, electricity, et cetera. We had some single-time purchases due to the ongoing public safety operations building project. Special revenue funds, observations, EOTech, again, where we've received partial reimbursement from the campground project, and that RV project is underway now. And moving forward, the only observation, the one for the utility funds, is the regional water system fund, and that's revenues are about 110,000 under projections. This is due to an unanticipated repair that shut down the system for a little bit, and speaking to the personnel, we anticipate that due to increased usage and some of the adjustments to the rates, we should gain that back as we move into the drier and warmer weather. So, and then $9,000 in over expenditures due to timing of transfers for future projects. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Morgan.
Would you like to hear more about chlorine? I'll try to go quick. I know it's getting late, and we have so our Gear and Harper realignment project is moving ahead. So we should be bringing hopefully a contract award at your next council meeting, which is 3 weeks away. So that'll be exciting. North First Place project is really associated with the Gear and Harper project. See, regional water system backup generators. We're just waiting at this point because they're a long lead time item. The Orchard Avenue water line replacement, that project is going to be opening bids here probably next month. So you'll be seeing significant construction beginning here in late spring. Well, number 6 chlorination structure we talked about this evening. Dogwood and Northwest 2nd Street, that project also should be getting a contract award here in April. So we should be into construction in May-June timeframe. Southeast 10th Street Bridge project design continues, so we're on track to be into construction next winter. East Evelyn Gravity Sewer Line, you've awarded that contract already, so we should be starting here early summer. And the Aquifer Storage and Recovery project is nearing the end of the first phase of the project, so that's good. Yeah, no major updates on the rest. I'll save those for later. Any questions?
Nope.
Great.
So the walkthrough tonight, I think, was great to see the Public Safety Center. Obviously, there's still work to be done, but hopefully by the end of April, we'll be moving in. I know the chief will be pushing the contractor as hard as we can to make that happen. The Sherman Park, we should be releasing the bids to be evaluated by the end of, or in April. So those are the 2 updates.
Council questions?
Is there a way you can get some pictures of the new police department and get that out there to the public so they can see it? Or
I will wait until we get a little closer. I'd like it to be a little more finished.
Okay.
But we can definitely do that.
Other council comments, questions? I mean, no. Okay. Public comment? Nope. Council comments? Nope. Motion to accept the February 2026 monthly financial report and the wind is dumb.
Motion to accept?
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Motion carries, passes unanimously 6-0. All right. Okay, so we are getting really close to the time. Committee reports? Any committee reports? Being none. Mayor's report, mine. Hey, just got back from NLC in DC. It was totally cool. Learned a lot of things. I did learn that aircraft seats suck for 6 hours. And it is very much like the wind is dumb. But at 35,000 feet. So, but a lot of good things. That was my first time going to Washington DC, was part of the city thing, well, ever.
Oh, wow.
So,
Good for you.
yeah, it was something I look forward to trying at least one more time. So, also, let's see, just and then on the day that I got back, we also had the Distinguished Citizens Awards, and I'm going to try and go really quick on this. First responder was Mark Amos from Oregon State Police. Ryan Middleton got the community champion. Colby Lurton, outstanding youth citizen. Laura Winters, Woman of the Year. Eldon Markham, Man of the Year. Business of the Year was Clayton Holmes. And the Christmas Spirit Award went to Josh Theros. So congratulations to all those folks for being, for basically defining the spirit and the love of this area and the volunteerism that goes with that. So thank you to all those folks. Also coming up, let's see, we've got Hermiston Spring Market, Ducks Unlimited on the 28th. There's a birthday coming up on Thursday, but I can't tell you her name because she'll kill me.
Primer?
No, it may be somebody wearing a green dress, but I don't know. In any case, let's see, Arbor Day coming up. And so, then we just had the daddy-daughter dance, I believe, as well. So, that's it. And we don't have a council president to report today, so council reports. Councilor Hayward.
If you all saw, I brought stuff back from DC. I'll report more on that next time since we're getting close. I brought you pins and stickers of the 250th anniversary of our country.
Thank you.
Go out there and learn it more. There's a lot of history that I didn't know about. I'll report more later.
Other council comment, Council Kelso.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to go to the DSA event, and I just wanted to thank the Good Shepherd Community Health Foundation for putting that event on and sponsoring it. I think it's a great opportunity for our community to recognize people who are leaders in volunteerism and who are really passionate about serving the people of our community. Just all great people. And I want to thank Liz Marvin in particular, the director of that foundation, and Amy Little for all of the hard work that they put in. And I know there were others as well, but I can't name them all. So those are the two people I'd like to thank in particular for putting that event on. It was a great event.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
I'll also reserve my NLC comments for the next time that we meet. I do want to share that with council. I think it's important that the council, we invest in these trainings, and so I want to feel like I'm giving back and sharing the information that I kind of was able to learn while we were down there. I do want to say one thing though, and I do want to address you, Mayor, and I want to apologize to you. Last city council meeting, I stepped out of the dais and I walked over to a constituent that was out there that I know him from the budget committee. It was kind of in the middle of conversation, and so that's not the way that to do things. I should ask the chair to be excused before I go down there. So I want to put that on the record, just because I think that the decorum is important. There are rules here in place, and so I appreciate and respect the rules. So I just want to tell you that personally on the record. I apologize for that, and I'll make sure to follow the decorum the next time.
Fair enough, sir. Councilor Drum.
Yes, I don't know if you guys received an email from Jasmine Jones from the League of Cities, but they are looking for volunteers that would like to be part of the conference planning committee for the 2026 LOC Conference Planning Committee. So if you are interested, there is an application to complete and submit it to her no later than April 10th at 5 p.m. And that we also have a LOC Small Cities meeting on April 16th and the conference later in April, the 22nd through the 24th in Pendleton.
I knew I forgot something. Okay, Youth Advisory Report.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Quevedo. I'm a junior at the Hermiston High School, and there hasn't been much going on at school, just students waiting for spring break and summer. But we have spring sports starting soon, and to that, winter sports, we had a really, really successful outcome. We had our boys wrestling win state champions. That's really cool, and it came out with like three boys that won individual state champions. And to that, our girls were runner-ups, which is really good for our program. And our first ever girl wrestle champion came home. She's a really like nice girl, really hardworking, and it's just really nice seeing my classmates and just people I pass by in school have such successful outcomes. But other than that, there's really nothing going on.
Okay, well, appreciate your bringing that to us. Now, technically we're at 9:30, so we have to ask to go if we want to continue on. All right. All right. Does anybody have anything else? We're adjourned.
What